शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति अभीक्ष्णशः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहि तं जना त एव पश्यन्ति अचिरेण तावकम् भवप्रभावो परमं पदाम्बुजम्। शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति अभीक्ष्णशः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहि तं जना त एव पश्यन्ति अचिरेण तावकम् भवप्रभावो परमं पदाम्बुजम्। Synonyms: शृण्वन्ति hear, गायन्ति chant, गृह्णन्ति take, अभीक्ष्णशः continuously, स्मरन्ति remember, नन्दन्ति take pleasure, tava your, ihitam activities, jana people in general, te they, eva certainly, pashyanti can see, achirena very soon, tavakam your, bhava prabhava the current of rebirth, uparamam cessation, padambujam lotus feet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swamy Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. Please repeat. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in doing others do, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. Purport. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna cannot be seen by our present conditional vision. In order to see Him, one has to change his present vision by developing a different condition of life full of spontaneous love of Godhead. When Sri Krishna was personally present on the face of the globe, not everyone could see Him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Materialists like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Jarasandha and Shishupala were highly qualified personalities by acquisition of material assets. But they were unable to appreciate the presence of the Lord. Therefore, even though the Lord may be present before our eyes, it is not possible to see Him unless we have the necessary vision. This necessary qualification is developed by the process of devotional service only, beginning with hearing about the Lord from the right sources. The Bhagavad Gita is one of the popular literatures which are generally heard, chanted, repeated, etc. by the people in general, but in spite of such hearing, etc., sometimes it is experienced that the performer of such devotional service does not see the Lord eye to eye. The reason is that the first item, Shravanam, is very important. If hearing is from the right source, it acts very quickly. Generally, people hear from unauthorized persons. Such unauthorized persons may be very learned by academic qualifications, but because they do not follow the principles of devotional service, hearing from them becomes a sheer waste of time. Sometimes the texts are interpreted fashionably to suit their own purposes. Therefore, first one should select a competent and bona fide speaker and then hear from him. When the hearing process is perfect and complete, the other processes becomes automatically perfect in their own way. There are different transcendental activities of the Lord, and each and every one of them is competent to bestow the desired result, provided the hearing process is perfect. In the Bhagavatam, the activities of the Lord begin with his dealings with the Pandavas. There are many other pastimes of the Lord in connection with his dealings with the Asuras and others. And in the 10th canto, the sublime dealings with his conjugal associates, the Gopis, as well as with his married wives at Dwaraka, are mentioned. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference in the transcendental nature of each and every dealing of the Lord. But sometimes people, in an unauthorized hearing process, take more interest in hearing about his dealings with the Gopis. Such an inclination indicates the lusty feelings of the hearer. So a bona fide speaker of the dealings of the Lord never indulges in such hearings. One must hear about the Lord from the very beginning, as in the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other scriptures, and that will help the hearer attain perfection by progressive development. One should not, therefore, consider that his dealings with the Pandavas are less important than his dealings with the Gopis. We must always remember that the Lord is always transcendental to all mundane attachment. In all the above mentioned dealings of the Lord, he is the hero in all circumstances, and hearing about him or about his devotees or combatants is conducive in spiritual life. It is said that the Vedas and Puranas, etc., are all made to revive our lost relation with him. Hearing of all these scriptures is essential. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading the prayers offered by Queen Kunti. This verse is a continuation of the previous verse. I will just read the previous verse to get the context. Bhavesmin klishyamananam avidya kama karma vihi shravanasmaranarahani karishaniti kechana. Having said different reasons for Lord's descent, so the reason that in these two verses Kunti Maharani is mentioning is about remembering the Lord in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. And the continuation here is, O Krishna, those continuously hear, chant and repeat your transcendental activities, take pleasure in others doing so, take pleasure in others, those who repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in or others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. So the focus is that Kunti Maharani is telling is about the Bhava Pravaha. Bhava Pravaha, proper translates as the current of rebirth. We hear this word often, Bhava. Last verse also it is there, Bhavesmin Klishyamanana. So the very fact, Bhava is to become. What have we become? Conditioned. And that has led to Klishyamananam, lot of suffering. When we get conditioned to the material circumstances, it leads to conditioning and suffering. So here, what is the way to come out of that suffering is mentioned. There is no other way. Having said that devotional service is no other way, but the details and intricacies of how the suffering can be mitigated is explained. So, when we see what are the kinds of conditioning that a living entity gets into, he gets into different conditions based on the circumstances that he's grown up, based on the circumstances the parents guide them, or based on the acquaintances guide them, or to say which school he goes, or the values that the school has or the college has. So these are all different reasons that influence the conditioning of a person. And mostly we know, whenever we talk about conditioning or the upbringing, it is to do with mostly avidya, or the desires that one gets out of the condition that he is in. Everybody starts desiring in a certain way. So they're not exactly the same, but we can all put them into the category of avidya. Avidya in the sense that it's not representing the true position of a servant of Lord. Based on different circumstances, he is put into different avidya positions. Then that leads to different kinds of suffering. And now, this words, Bhava Prabhavo, the current of rebirth. So the very word Prabhupada very nicely translates the current of rebirth. He just not said Bhava means repetition of birth. Prabhava, here Pravaha is the flow of something. When the living entity gets into this flow of avidya, doing over and above again, the same sense gratification above, because he is not been guided by anybody, and then he looks forward based on the instincts that he gets carried away with different kinds of bhava. Somebody feels, okay, I like this kind of current. I like this kind of current or flow. Say for example, somebody is in sports and he likes that flow of currents. And somebody is in different kind of current of politics and he likes that current. He likes to go on in that current. Even to see what they want or appreciate what it is also based on some currents. So people are caught up with different currents, not knowing what is their real aim of life. Of course, they do mention that their aim of life is so and so, and again it falls back to the same sense gratification. If their aim, they say, okay, I want to become such and such, again it is based on avidya. But here, Kunti Maharani is mentioning about the true aim of life. We hear from different scriptures. No? Nate vidu swartagatim hi Vishnu durashayahi bahirartamanena. So what is our vidu? What is our goal? What's our aim? That is to approach Vishnu. So none of them in the contemporary world that we live in have this idea of aim of life, and that's where Klishamananam Bhava Prabhava, they are getting caught up in this kind of suffering and then this kind of currents over a woe again and again. So what happens when they are going about in this way? So their aims are different, not knowing the true aim, and then it happens life after life. And it so happens that it seems that they are very happy. The nature is so that the conditioned souls become satisfied with whatever they are in. That is one more Shakti of Maya that keeps the soul contented in whatever they are in position in. Everybody knows to sustain in this world they have to work hard. That is for just sustenance. And over above again they have to have, they are bogged up with more of sense gratification. And for that they have to still work hard. For sustenance they have to work hard, and for their more sense gratification they have to still more work hard. And then they think, this is the pleasure that I get. If I achieve this, I get pleasure. So they are caught up in this cycle. So very nicely, how to come out of it? The only thing is the conditioning has to be changed. The conditioning right now is based on the previous cycles of current, and now the current that we have to set in now is mentioned here. Shrinvanti, here. Gayanti, singing. Grinanti, taking up again, taking it seriously. Abhikshnashaha, continuously. So what is that changes the conditioning is hearing, chanting, and taking it seriously, and it should be continuous. So this will set in a different path, different current in the cycle that we are in. So what happens? Paranti nandanti tavehitam jana. Once you start doing over and again, you will start remembering about and tavehitam jana. You will also be interested in taking pleasure in tavehitam, in the activities of the Lord. So, tayeva pashyanti achirena tavakam. Very nicely, Kunti Maharani is telling, achirena, very soon. This doesn't require to be done, lifetimes. No, not necessary. In just one lifetime, if one is serious, achirena, that's the meaning, that, pashyanti. So, it is not that it is hackneyed. So, the point that very nicely Prabhupada brings in this in purport is, to see the Lord, Supreme Lord cannot be seen by our present conditional vision. In order to see Him, one has to change his present vision by developing a different condition of life full of spontaneous love of God. So, the other day I was just reading one of the verses glorifying the holy names. So in this I came across one statement. It says, to say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the personality of Godhead face to face. So it says, to say nothing of the spiritual advancement of a person who sees the Lord, Supreme Lord face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices, etc., hears about him or even remembers him. So when I was reading this, Okay, here seeing the Lord is exalted, that's what it's mentioned. To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of a person who sees the personality of Godhead face to face. So then I was saying, when Kṛṣṇa was personally on this world, many people saw him, and they were not, some of them, Shri Radha Govinda ki, they were not glorified people. Some of them we see, like Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, they were saying face to face to Supreme Lord, and they were not purified, and whoever sees here are considered to be glorious. That was going on, and that gets clarified when I was reading this. So Prabhupada says, when Sri Krishna was personally present on the face of this globe, not everybody could see him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Materialists like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, etc. were highly qualified personalities by acquisition of material assets, but they were unable to appreciate the presence of the Lord. Therefore, even though the Lord may be present before our eyes, it is not possible to see him unless we have the necessary vision. So, the idea is, Lord can be seen by realized souls like Prabhupada and give these purports, and Lord can be seen by people like Duryodhana, etc. also. But there is a necessary vision that the non-devotees lack. So, the vision that acharyas see, acharyas see the Lord is completely different than the vision that non-devotees or demons see. So, we have to know, not everybody has got this inclination to see the Lord in some. So, there are so many people coming to have darshan every day. They have different visions. Some devotees come, some non-devotees also come, some tourists come. So, their vision to the Lord is completely different from the devotee's vision to the Lord. So, the reciprocation that Lord gives is completely on a different platform. So, when we hear such statements, we should know how much is there for us to change this vision from a mundane vision to the transcendental vision. So, here very nicely Prabhupada writes, the reason is that the first item, Shravanam, is very important. If hearing is from the right source, it acts very quickly. Generally, people hear from unauthorized persons. Such unauthorized persons may be very learned by academic qualifications, but because they do not follow the principles of devotional service, hearing from them becomes a sheer waste of time. There are many satsangas happening, so-called also, but not necessarily that they are hearing from the right source. So, before even we give value to the vision, the right start happens from Shrunvanti, from where we hear. That sets the target, that sets the target going. Otherwise, we see so many people, Prabhupada mentions that as well. There are so many people reciting Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, but we don't see any transformation in them. Rather, we see misinterpretation of the Lord's pastimes. That's what is mentioned here. Somebody is glorifying gopis in the sense of bringing down the position of Pandavas. So, but a devotee's vision is different. Lord has different mellows. He appreciates the gopis. He appreciates the Pandavas as much as each other. So, the vision that people don't have is because of not properly hearing from the right source. So, that sets in the going. Otherwise, people may hear, may talk, may see the Lord, but there is no transformation from the conditioning that they have. Okay, there is one more interesting point that we can learn is about a very nice pastime that it's from a conversation of Ramananda Raya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Ramananda Raya was asked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the best way for pleasing the Lord, or what are the activities that one has to follow in the daily course of time. So here I read from the conversation, from the lecture. Ramananda Raya was asked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the actual aim of life for which one should work? Okay, he is asking what should be the aim of life that for which one should work. So immediately Ramananda Raya says this quote, Varnashrava charavata purushena parappuman Vishnu aradyate pumsan nanyat tattosha karmanat. The aim is to satisfy Vishnu. We should always remember this fact, that we are actually eternally servants, part and parcels of Krishna or Vishnu. As I have given many times the example, there are so many parts and parcels, so there are many parts of the body, but what are they meant for? To satisfy the belly. You're talking, you're catching, you're thinking, you're doing many things. What is the aim? The aim is to satisfy stomach. So, people have the vision to work is to satisfy their belly or sense gratification. But here, what do we hear? It is to satisfy Vishnu. Even if we work, that should result in satisfying Vishnu. Otherwise, many people keep working, but it is irrelevant when it comes to the conditioning. So, very nice example that goes on. We might have perhaps heard this. Once the limbs, then legs, they all come together and then they discuss among themselves, saying, we are serving, we are working hard, legs are talking, hands are talking, the mouth is chewing, but the stomach is enjoying. So they all think, why should I give to stomach? So they all think, logical, right? So they are all thinking that we are not being fed something, or stomach is doing nothing. That's what they feel. And then they say, okay, we will not feed the stomach. One day goes, 2 days go. What happens? They themselves become weak. The limbs, bodily limbs also become weak. And then they come again together and come to their senses, saying, no. When we feed the stomach, our other limbs also get activated, will be energetic. So similarly, we have to know that we have to work for Krishna. Otherwise, we will be thinking like the limbs. We will be thinking, and 1 or 2 days, it will all be hackneyed, and then we'll come to our senses. So, with the association that we got from great acharyas and the parampara, that we don't have to experience that. Many people, out of want of Krishna consciousness, they are in this cycle, they are in this current, not knowing. They are trying to strike on the some nationalistic ideas come. communistic ideas come. Each has got their own way of striking. These you can see them as different strikes only. Nationalistic is one kind of strike. Communistic is one kind of strike. Again, they are missing out on the center point of pleasing Krishna. So, there are communistic, there are so many other philosophies also. But the one important idea that everybody misses is the pleasure of Krishna. So, if that is set right, then the current that we are talking about will flow in the right direction. Otherwise, no, this bhava prabhava, this current of repetition of birth and death is continual, will continue. So, here we have such a nice verse given by Kunti Maharani. Just by doing this over and again, Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grananti, Abhikshnasaha, continuously, then what happens? Paramam Padambujam, we will attain that cessation from Bhava Prabhava and attain Padambujam, the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. I stop here if you have any questions. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki